The case title is What Do You Do All Day? Navigating the Challenges of School Leadership as an Early Career Principal. My name is Tanya A. Long, Doctoral Research Assistant at Texas State University.
My name is Jeff King, and I'm a Doctoral Research Assistant at Texas State University.
I'm Michael O'Malley, Associate Professor of Educational Leadership and Department Chair at Texas State University. We began to design this case study as a way of trying to understand how aspiring school leaders are being able to apply and work with concepts that they've been learning in the class. So we started the case as an assessment, end-of-course assessment used in a class at the master's level. And the purpose of the case was to provide students an opportunity to demonstrate what they would do with knowledge, theory, and skills that we had been working on in the class.
What began initially as an exercise in collaboration for the collaborative assessment that was part of our PhD application process, we took that and then we sort of thought about and reimagined how the case could be used in more individual self-reflective assessment opportunities, and then also to assess aspiring leaders and people who were training for principal preparation. So how you could use the case not only to assess current principals, but how they could then use that in more of a reflective, ongoing situation, as well as in ways that they could it could be used on a master's level.
One of the things that really compelled us in writing the case also is that we really needed a tool or an instrument that would help us to be able to work through with aspiring school leaders how they engage the multiple issues and unanticipated issues that affect a school leader in any given day. And we also wanted a tool, as we've been saying, that would help us assess graduate students' capacity and ability to be able to use theory and use a research base to work through these complex issues. We had an interesting electronic conversation with one of our reviewers in working through the case, who was really initially very committed to asking us to focus on discrete particular issues in the case. In other words, the perspective was, well, the case is too broad. There's too much going in on it. And we can't understand, do you want us to have the students focused on academic achievement, or the issue of the marginalized LGBT student, or the faculty morale in the mathematics department and extending across the rest of the campus? And what we were saying in the electronic conversation back is, that's the point of this case. We want you, the reader, and the people working with the case to figure out what are the priority issues.
One of the things that's particularly interesting to this particular case is that we really designed it to place the reader, the practitioner, the person using the case, into the case itself. Our pronoun choice, the way we decided to structure the case, was to have the person evaluate it as if they were experiencing it for themselves. We find that very often when you evaluate, when there's a distance from the material, we evaluate things a little bit differently than if we actually are feeling some sort of visceral response to what we're reading. And so we were very deliberate in putting that in our use of language and trying to have the person enter into the feelings that would be accompanying and associated with the readings as we went along.
There's also a layer of personal connection to the case in the fact that all of the issues that present themselves in the case are presented in dialogue with other individuals. So that just sort of adds to the element that, there's a tension in educational leadership and in principalship where, you've got technical issues and technical elements and managerial aspects that you're dealing with on almost sometimes a minute-by-minute basis, but that can tend to overshadow the fact that there's also a personal element to educational leadership. And so I think we were very intentional about bringing the issues into play through dialogue with other individuals. And so you get this added personal dimension to the role of the principal that works in concert, I think, with the fact that we place the case within the second person.
We piloted the case probably 6 times with small groups of graduate students in educational leadership, then in a course setting, and then in the doctoral assessment center before actually submitting it to the journal. And in each iteration, we continued to revise and improve the case. So we found the process really to be an interesting dialogue between us and people using the case as we learned how to strengthen its capacity to help us to reflect on meaningful approaches to educational leadership and how the case might be used. But one of the interesting things that came out in the piloting of the case is, as Jeff said, we're frequently identifying we are throughout the case identifying the person as you. So we're asking the person to read the case and hear, okay, I'm in the principal role. I'm the leader that needs to address these issues. So immediately what we're hoping to do and what we've seen happen in the pilot groups, we're shortening the distance between the reader seeing the principal as a third person over there who we're all evaluating and critiquing and making suggestions about what they could do better, really making it a much more intimate and personal experience where I'm the leader and this is my responsibility to address these issues. And so we're hoping to evoke some of the emotional space that happens in school leadership when you have faculty that are demoralized and they're challenging you, and the superintendent's office is calling with critique of your academic achievement indicators, and you see justice or equity issues in the school that you know that you want to address. It's one thing to be able to look at a third-party principal that we're evaluating and say, well, they should do this, that, and the other thing. It's a very different to inhabit a space where I'm reflecting on myself as the leader that needs to make these choices, and in some ways is perhaps either torn or uncertain or really concerned about how to make progress in light of what can seem to be such large and intractable issues.